Welcome to this Final Cut Pro 10 training. My name is Larry Jordan. This is Chapter 4, Media Management, and our session is entitled Importing Media from a File. In this session, I want to show you how to import media from files that are already stored on your hard disk. In general, if QuickTime can play it, you can import it. You can import video, audio, still images, and graphics files. And there are two, well, actually there's three ways you can import. You can select the menu, File, Import Files, or the keyboard shortcut, Shift-Command-I, or drag the file into either the timeline, on top of an event icon, or a keyword collection. Let me show you how to verify import preference settings. The keyboard shortcut, by the way, is Command, import files using the File Import Files menu, and import files by dragging. I have a file on my desktop that I want to bring into Final Cut. So we go up to File, go down to Import, and notice we have the choice of files or other options, which I'll be explaining a little later in this chapter. So we'll select File, Import Files. Keyboard shortcut is Shift-Command-I. It then pops up a dialog that says, what do you want to bring in? Well, it just so happens I have a still image here that I want to bring into Final Cut. I can say, add this to an existing event, and I want to add it to our GNOME project. We'll add it to New Gnomes, and it's going to take whatever I import and add it to an existing event. The advantage to using the File Import Files command is I'm now able to specify how I want that particular image or media file processed. And these preference settings we've talked about before. So when I click Import, go over to New Gnomes, and there's the image file that I just brought in. It doesn't really make any difference if that is an image file or a graphics file, an audio file, a video file. The import process is exactly the same. Final Cut figures out what type of media it is. You just need to tell it how you want it processed and where you want the file stored. Remember, media is always stored in an events folder. But sometimes you're just in too big a hurry and you don't want to waste time going to that File Import Files command. You just want to drag it from wherever it is and drop it and keep going. Well, you got to be a little careful here because where you drag it makes a difference. Let me illustrate. First, though, before you drag anything, type Command, What this does is this opens up your preference setting. You could go all the way up to Final Cut Pro, go down to Preferences, but it's cooler to just type Command, and the screen opens up. If you're bringing in still images, on the Editing tab, the default length of still images is 4 seconds. You can change that to whatever you want in seconds and hundredths of seconds. When you are dragging any kind of media into Final Cut, you don't get the option of setting your preference settings. So it's a good habit to get into to double check these to make sure that they're still set the way you want them set. In my particular case, this is fine for what I'm doing. So I'll close this. I happen to have a still image right here. If I grab that still image and drag it in, notice that I can't drag it into the event browser. It won't let it stay there. You can, however, drag it to 3 other places. You could grab the image and drag it directly into the timeline, and it adds it. Or, I'll just hit the delete key to make it disappear. Or, you can select the file or group of files and drag them into the event library and drop them on top of an event. Notice how I've dropped it on top of an event. It's indicated with the star. Now, when I click this, there's the clip that I dragged in. Now, I'm dragging in one file, but you can drag in any number of files, and they don't have to all be still images. Some could be audio or video or still images. The collection and combination doesn't make any difference. You can just simply drag it in. Or you could drag it on top of a keyword collection. Now, we haven't talked about keyword collections as part of the metadata chapter, which is chapter 5. We'll be working on that next. So the key thing to keep in mind is that you can drag files from the Finder into Final Cut, but when you do, you need to drag them either into the timeline, on top of an event, or on top of a keyword collection. The nice thing about importing files is that it's fast and easy. In general, you use the Import from Camera command for importing source files from a camera. Use import files for media which has been created on the computer or that's already been converted by Final Cut. And remember that if you drag a file into Final Cut, it is automatically processed by the current Import Preferences settings. My name is Larry Jordan, and thanks for watching this Final Cut Pro 10 training.